But GPA is indicating that it's a fixed rate.
That's a fixed rate, but I like for saying, yeah, it's there, but we don't see utilizing that because it is a fixed rate. It's a premium. If we have to change that premium, there gotta be a change of something with those specs or whatever, you know, but we don't see that because it's made for specifically for Ukudu that could be very well with the other brands.
Right.
But John, you've never gone 20%, or have you, above what's been approved by the PUC?
No, I didn't even know I had 20%. Thank you for letting me know. I'm just kidding. No, fairness. So I don't believe it ever. Usually when we go about something, we've been very religious coming to yourself to, you know, to the benchmark. Anything over $1 million to the CCU. Anything 1.5 million, my team already know they prepare all the documents and we're on our way.
The question on why more diesel fuel, is it safe to say that because of the unreliability of Capital 1 and 2 using those software, you have to use more diesel fuel?
This is how I connected to the website.
Yeah, you could say that we're using more in the combustion turbines, no? And then also like Jennifer said, we're going to be doing more diesel fuel. Remember the two 268,000 barrel tanks are still empty right now. This is going to help fuel that up.
I understand that. I'm just going to establish the Capital 1 and 2. So they're using those software and they're using less because that increases the diesel.
You're correct.
This one here is just the camera. Yeah. This is.
Motion to approve GPA docket 2405.
Second? Pedro seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Next item, GPA docket 2406. Petition to approve Amendment 2 to the Hanwha Energy Corporation's Phase 2 Renewable Energy Acquisition Power Purchase. We have an ALJ report and a proposed order. Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. There are really two things that GPA is asking for approval. One is Amendment 2 to the Hanwha Energy Corporation Phase 2 Renewable Energy Acquisition Power Purchase Agreement, and also the second amendment to the interconnection agreement. Let me go back through a little history here, tell you what occurred. So in May of 2018, the PUC had authorized GPA to award a Phase 2 renewable acquisition agreement for two 30-megawatt plants to Hanwha. And that's what it was required to build and construct. We can say 5 years later, the result on new generation is project. Nothing got built. EPA indicates in its papers that, well, there were delays caused by different aspects. Part of it related to the interconnection costs, which a very expensive transmission line was part of this project. But I think I say unfortunately, it seems that Hanwha, for whatever reason, did not construct the plant that it agreed to construct. And on the other hand, we have the example of PEPCO, who in 2018, maybe a little earlier, had agreed to build also two 30-megawatt plants, and PEPCO complied with the contract. Today, there are operational 30-megawatt plants. The CCU looked at this and in a vote of 4-1 did approve Amendment 2 to the renewable acquisition agreement for Hotspot, and also the amendment to the interconnection agreement. There were some conditions on that approval, which were that Hanwha had to provide for written consent by GPA to any assignment. Hanwha had to have a valid Guam business license. And the company, HEC Guam A, had to submit that it had financing lined up that would fund the plan. And then finally, that it had to produce PV modules by a second secure date, a specific date, or GPA could cancel the contract and Hanwha would surrender its security development payment at $4.6 million. Now, if you look at the new proposal, what Hanwha is providing, it's actually quite a bit different than the 2018 agreement. First of all, now instead of 230 megawatt plants, Hanwha would agree to provide 41 megawatts. But with the original 230 megawatt plants, that would have been net annual generation of 144,000 megawatts. And now, under Amendment 2 with the 41 megawatt plant, the net annual generation will be 75,156. So looks like we're getting about half the generation. A little over half, actually. We would have gotten with the original plan. So the energy cost under the new proposal will be almost $11 million, and the original proposal was about close to $12 million. Now, there is one big difference. As part of this new phase 2, Hanwha would provide energy shifting capability, that is solar energy that could be stored in batteries and used in the nighttime. That was not a part of the original proposal. I indicated in my report, I kind of followed the development project. Probably most of my information is gleaned from legal counsel, but GPA was not happy. I heard that considerations were given to terminating Hanwha and to keeping its security development. But there have been some circumstances that have changed that may indicate why GPA wants to do this now. This was pointed out in the CCU resolution approving the loss of the project would negatively impact GPA's ability to construct 100 megawatts of solar energy as agreed under the consent decree. Now, I believe that US EPA will have to probably approve an amendment allowing this plant to be built now, and it's likely out of time. I think probably the 100 megawatts was supposed to be produced before this plant will be operational. But that's the one predicament that GPA finds itself in. What would its options be? Well, yeah, it's going to go out. It could go out to bid again on this project. God knows what will happen there. Could there be protests, another 2 or 3 year delay? That's a rather speculative kind of solution. So I think that GPA is thinking, well, we need to comply with the consent decree, and this will be the easiest way to do so. I, as the report indicates, have tremendous concerns about the history of this project at Hanwha. I wonder, for example, with their poor history of compliance with the original contract, can they be relied upon trusted to develop the new plant? That's certainly a question. So, as I said, the project is really quite different than it was originally intended to be. And this new amendment too to the renewable energy agreement, it would waive any past failures of performance. So even though 5 years, Hanwha's not come up with anything, I think they cleared the site and maybe did some other initial work, but they will, how would I say it, be excused from any failure to comply with the original contract. Now, one issue I have a lot of concerns with GPA's petition. Of course, they claim that, well, when we build this Hanwha plant, which won't be done until the end of December 2025, that over the 4 or 5 year period after that, there would be savings of 28 million. Of course, those savings result from having cheaper renewable energy rather than having to use fossil fuel. But, and they also indicate that there is no contractual cost to GPA except for the loss of renewable energy and power generation. Well, I'm not going to go into the whole analysis, but for the last 5 years, we should have had the energy that would have been produced on that plant. And in fact, when the contract was awarded to Hanwha in 2018, there were calculations by GPA right in that contract as an exhibit that said the savings at a minimum at a current LEAC rate, that's the current LEAC rate in 2018, would have been over 22 million in the last 5 years. But even more discouraging information is that when they tried to project the updated LEAC, they came up with an even higher, what should have been the 5 year savings of almost 45 million. So that's the loss. You know, the fact that Hanwha didn't comply with its contract means that we, the ratepayers, lost 45 million. And I submit it's actually far greater than that. Because as we know, LEAC over the past 5 years has risen tremendously higher than was ever anticipated in 2018. In their estimates in 2018, they were using projections of what they thought LEAC would be. I'm not going to go through all the numbers. It's in my report. They were estimating 15 cents, 16 cents. We know it went up to 32 cents, but of course I haven't done a hard calculation of the numbers, but I really think the overall losses could be even closer to 80 million. I can't say for sure, but it's definitely more than 45 million that was lost in savings. So questions really arise as to why GPA would want to do business with a company that costed so dearly over the last number of years. But again, I think the circumstances now is kind of in a poor light as I see Hanwha's performance. EPA does point out very valid concerns of its situation now. They need additional megawatts to meet the 100 megawatts. There's no other easy way to do it. We can say, well, yeah, they should go out and do a procurement again, but what's going to be the result? How long is that going to take? Will they be able to comply with the consent decree? That's a first ground I think that I see and would probably authorize these amendments on those grounds. The second is that it's probably a quicker way to produce additional generation. We know the problem GPA is in with lack of load now and load shedding and that. So this is another source of power that could be achieved relatively quickly. But therefore, I think that's a consideration in favor of the proposal too. I found that to be a legitimate concern that EPA has. We should also point out on the interconnection agreement, excuse me, it will make Hanwha's task a little easier. They won't have to build that big transmission line, I believe, to the Alafoco plant. But there's still a lot of connections they will have to implement. Those are outlined in the interconnection agreement. And I view those as a little complicated. I think it also could bring up another area where they might have some problems completing this on time. But again, this won't be in operation until December 2025. So a lot has been lost over the years. As far as the contract itself is concerned, I think the Amendment 2 and the amendment to the interconnection agreement were well drafted. And council did their jobs in making proper amendments, and these new amendments would be operational. And I think they contain the usual protections for the ratepayers. They seem to be standard. They have default liquidated damages for delays. They have schedules where certain things have to be completed. For example, shipping the PVs to Island, making sure in advance they have the adequate funding. So I did review both the 2018 agreement and the amendment and the second amendment to the interconnection agreement, and it seemed that the proper revisions had been made there. So I think with a lot of past disappointment and regret about Hanwha's performance, I indicated in the report, I think, unfortunately for GPA, Hanwha finds itself kind of in the right place at the right time. The GPA needs to do something quickly, and Hanwha's there's at least a framework to do that. I did inquire about some procurement issues. I spoke with Ms. Rojas about it, and I asked whether this was consistent with procurement law to have Hanwha sign an agreement that is fairly different, very different from the first contract that was signed. What she indicated to me is that the first contract, of course, provided for 60 megawatts total. This is a lesser amount, but the contract originally did provide for the provision of renewable power. As to the new aspect of the energy shifting at night, which I think could be up to 4 hours at a time, I believe, that seems somewhat new, but she indicated there was an amendment to the original RFP, which did also allow for night shifting. So I know the PUC is always concerned with procurement, although it's technically not a procurement board. Often we have to make sure that the rules were basically followed, but not, of course, ruling as experts in procurement. But nonetheless, I felt that Ms. Rojas' answers were at least provided an arguable, rational basis. Legally, what would ever happen if someone challenges it, who knows, but I don't think that's our task, or the PUC's task, really, to worry about that. So I did recommend that the PUC approve both Amendment 2 to the Renewable Acquisition Purchase Agreement and the second amendment, but to make it subject to the 4 conditions set forth in the CCU Resolution 2024-03. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a lot in one time. Been a long night already, but let me try and work on this. Fred is correct. In our consent decree, we committed to 100 megawatts of solar. And at that time, we had contracts working with 2 of it, 60 megawatt with kept going, 60 megawatt with Unwan. And then we had a bid out, which was almost to be awarded for another 40. Actually turned out to be like a 50 megawatt on military base. So there was our aces in the hole, so that all of 140 or 150, we should be able to comply with the 100 megawatt. Well, they won a military base, we couldn't award it, went through a protest for 2 years. We won the protest, but lost the war. We lost, ratepayers lost over $100 million on that contract. But again, it spilled milk for us. So our only other alternative in the consent decree was the Hanwha project. But of course, the Hanwha project went to difficulties in terms of they're putting in 115 kV line. And the prices of all of that went substantially way up that they couldn't be, it wasn't feasible for them. In addition, there was delays from COVID, and we had a delay of the project for buying some property in Upper Heights so that we can put 115 kV into Upper and down to from there down to PD. Again, the cost for the transmission, I think more than double for them. And as you can see, the pricing there was 8.5 cents. The difference between their project and KEPCO is a 34.5 kV system, and they moved along with that. No? So, as you can see in my reports, the GM reports, I always say, was tenuous. We weren't happy, like Fred said. We knew they're not going to be able to complete this project. What do we have in terms of remedy? Is the $4.6 million of security development fee that would have occurred on December of this year. So again, we looked at all of that, and they started working with us on maybe some other options. Well, Fred mentioned, circumstances occurred where, okay, where am I going to find 40 more megawatts? That's why you see 41 megawatts in that contract. To put 120 megawatts out of Dandan, you need 115. To put 40 megawatts with energy storage shifting batteries, you can use 134.5 kV line. So that's when all the engineers, everyone get together trying to figure out what could make this project work. And that's how we worked it out, that this project could work, where they provide 41 megawatts that would allow us to comply with the consent decree. It would generate about 75 million kilowatt hours. I'm sorry, 75 million kilowatt hours, or like Fred said, 75,000 megawatt hours. And we'll shift about 30% of that in the evening. We'll shift 66 megawatt hours in the evening to shave the peak. So that shaving of the peak is you can run 22 megawatts for 3 hours or 11 megawatts for 6 hours. In the evening, you can run it like a generator. And of course, that offsets more expensive fuel in the evening, even when Cabras is retired and Okudu comes on the line. So what would it offset? It will offset more like PD 8 and 9 costs. So 15 kilowatt hours per gallon, $120 a barrel, you offset about 19 cents a kilowatt hour energy, in addition to shaving the peak for you. So in a way, it became an economic benefit. They will put the infrastructure in at 34.5 level. And understanding that we were not happy, of course, and that was really reflected even with the CCU, which showed a 4-to-1 vote. We put in a lot of very definitive milestones for them to achieve. EPC, financing, all of that. So as we go along here over the next few months, if you will, and they're not moving and getting this thing done, then we can terminate this contract and go and take the $4.6 million that we would have gotten in December of this year, next month, actually. Again, we try to make a good thing out of a bad thing to give our consent decree, and that's why we have this year. And believe me, we were very stringent on the milestone to make sure. If you look at it, it all falls together. With Mawar, it took out the Ukudu. Ukudu was to be done April 2024. So this was going to come in December 2025. That's changed now, so Ukudu is going to come in sometime January 2026 or earlier, which is what I'm working on, a little earlier. Therefore, this December 2025 date now fits in with the whole completion of Ukudu, completion of the 100 megawatt solar, retirement of Cabras 1 and 2, so we can end this consent decree at this ending in the early 2026 period. So that's how it fits. We have a bad taste in our mouth in terms of this contract. However, we put every restriction that we can. The new team on board working on this, and our team work on them, and I think it could work. And again, we have a hammer left and right, and if it doesn't happen, we're back to the 4.6. We still have that termination clause that will get us the money back. But that's why it's before you for consideration.
Thank you, John. So basically, the way this has been restructured, you have a smaller solar plant from 60 to 41. You were still going to have a battery in the original one, but it wasn't as robust a battery as what you're going to get out of this.
Much smaller and more.
So you'd be able to shave the peak at a clip of about 15 megawatts per hour for about a 4-hour period of time, basically.
yes, you can shave 66 megawatt hour. So you have 15 times 4 is 60, or you can save 22 for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Any combination is whatever you drain from the batteries, and then the next day.
That would be a significant item to have in your arsenal.
That's kind of what we wanted with the one on military base, no? The shifting. So this kind of fits in, and it's kind of, again, there's no way the 115 would have been a scenario, so we try to figure out what you can do with 34.5. No? So they'll be putting in wires in the conduits, doing upgrades of the 34.5 system, everything necessary to make this system work. All of that.
So by having the more robust, larger battery, it gets you away from using the one that you were originally going to need to cut with the transmission line?
That's great. If anyone else in the future puts in more energy down there,
Yeah.
and if it's going to be more than a 30 megawatt plant, you're already looking at them having to face the same issue of 115. With the cost being higher, it means it's going to drive the energy a bit higher. So the only way to make 115 probably economical is to have a really bigger capacity, not just 60, but I'm hoping that maybe phase 4 will come in with some of that. And I don't have those numbers or those right now. I do want to say that we have the phase 4 bid being technically evaluated right now. And we should have a technical qualification on that by, I believe, next week. And those that qualify, sometime in December, we're going to open the bid for phase 4. If you go phase 4, looking at maybe February or March by the time CCU and PUC gets to work on the approval for that. Maybe contract in place by the summer. So that's 2024 with a 3 years construction time. You're looking at 2027 period before you get this phase 4 online. So again, the 2025 period lines up with everything that we're trying to do to complete this consent decree. By the time Okudu is completed, we can retire that and have the Okudu. And again, we have milestones for them to meet. If they don't meet it, including the EPC, making the material order for the solar, the batteries and all of that, then we can terminate the contract. That's the condition that we put it in.
Where is the location of the 66 megawatt battery going to be?
Right there in London, next to the glide path, just across it. So you'll feed into the London substation, and then there's already a conduit there of underground towards the Lacopo. So then you'll pull out the other one and make it bigger. There's a whole bunch of electrical work that they have to do to accomplish it. So that's all again part of the condition.
They can use the existing underground line to replace the cable.
That's correct. Increase the size of the cable and then also use a conduit that was put in.
Yeah.
It was going to be handled by the windmills, if you remember. There was a conduit there that's still empty.
You can put 34.5 underground.
It's kind of interesting concept here, but maximum output of low conduits of 40 megs. If you have to do is 60 and 20 is 80, but you have a transmission issue. So what is the maximum output taken out of the load? Spare conduits and the like. That 40 megs.
Well, close to 60 megawatt.
60, right?
You have
So-
230 megawatt conduits.
230, so you're up to 60. So, if we're talking of a 60 and a 20, so you're up to 80. But the transmission capacity is 60.
The project's only 26 megawatts.
Right.
The
So that's 20, 24, 26, 25, and 60 is 85.
no, sir, the Hanwha project now is 41.
Right, I know. I'm trying to get the maximum output that we could get in the existing transmission system.
It's about 60
About
with the
60, right?
234.5, yes, sir.
So, to me, we could have just gone in with a 40 megawatt solar panel, right? Or you regulate the 60 megawatt at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 1 o'clock, down to 40. You can always do that, correct?
Actually, sir, they provided several proposals, and the costs were just not, they were not costs that we were accepting, which included 60 megawatt solar facility.
What I'm getting at is, solar is good for 12 hours a day. So if you have this 60 megawatt at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, it's not 60. It's only 60 at 12 o'clock. At maximum, maximum output of sun. So my take is we could regulate the transmission output. Up to 60. Because right now you got it at 25.
You are correct, but the difference is that the guide class is using one set of, one
Up
set,
to 25. So
25.
we need to upgrade that line. And that's four
Yeah,
lines.
but that goes all the way up to Talafoco and utilizes that battery to make sure that it's not intermittent.
No, I understand. I'm just
So
trying to get that.
on the, I think we're on the same page, but if you look at the second conduit, that's 30 megawatts, no?
Right.
So in the daytime you can feed up to 30, but you have a 41 megawatt, no? So you're catching the remaining energy in a battery. So then in the evening, in the daytime you're 30, 20, whatever you're filling up the battery. Then in the evening you run it through the 30 megawatts. See?
Well, yeah, I understand that, but what I'm trying to get at is instead of having any battery storage system, you just have that solar system,
No, you can't.
like the one you got in them.
No, you can't. You can because there are two different lines. One for dry
I
plant
understand.
and one for Hanwha. And you cannot go over 30 and one time you're gonna burn the
No, I understand. I'm saying regulate the output of the solar system.
And you
You can
need
always
to,
do that because you shut down the section of the solar to clean it or whatever, you know. You know what I mean? Like when you're running a generator, you can slow down to 40% instead of 100%. It's 100 meg, 40%, now you're down 40 meg. That's what I'm talking about. So that's a train of thought.
I understand, sir, a lot of school markets, they overbuild so that when the sun peaks.
No, I understand. But these things that are built, we're trying to build it. So we're trying to build it up to the maximum of the transmission capacity and handle, not add more transmission. That's my point. You could add more transmission, add more conduit and add more power, but for 5 years, they lost 5 years worth, or maybe 40 million. Solar, that's what I'm getting at. So, the battery is like extra to me, it's not, the batteries are not renewable, because you need a generator to charge it, and then you charge it at the end of the night. So that's what I don't know, really look at it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, John. Just want to say, I think you summed it up nicely when you said this leaves a bitter taste in our mouth. With I have more like procurement issues, concerns. It seems like, this bid, I remember 2018, it was like 30 megawatts. And we were so happy with that rate. I think it was 8 cents or something. And so they said, okay, we're going to go out there and we'll double it up to 60, right? So at the benefit of the ratepayers, we should have been experiencing those benefits today, right? So, and just looking at the amendment 2, it seems like there are material changes to the original bid, right? We're going from no transmission line anymore, 115. It's a higher cost per kilowatt now. It's no longer 8 cents, it's like 14 cents or something because of the batteries. We have less capacity, right, on it. And then just the fact that they didn't perform, there was no, the performance bond, the contract, construction and performance was out there. So I understand to me, it sounds like this is almost like a rebid at this point because there's so many changes to it. And the reasoning behind not rebidding this seems to be the consent decree. And regardless, if we offered it to them now, and then 3 months down the road, they didn't meet one of the milestones, we're gonna have to go out and rebid anyways. The same token, we have to explain to the judge, that this is at no fault of GPA and Oregon Guam. It was an awardee that didn't perform. And so I'm sure there'd be some understandings there in terms of the consent decree, trying to find this new 40 megawatts. It's not gone, it's just maybe it might not be with Honda, right? It could be with another bidder, right? So if you're 2 years out, this is not really going to save us from load shedding, right? We're kind of 2 years out there anyways. What's the harm in going out to bid and adding the 3 to 4 months that the bid specs or however long it takes to go out to bid? Is my first question. Second is, well, go ahead and answer that first. In terms of the bid.
first of all, we won't go out for rebid for 41 megawatt. This project is dead, it's dead. Phase 4 is our next fastest thing because we're already going to open it, prices.
Right, we've got
and
several contractors, right? Just like
Yeah, so what I need to
505.
do is find 40 megawatts of additional solar. Like I'm saying, that's not gonna come on the line until 2027 or so, no? Versus this one will come on the line in 2025, in line with Okudu coming on the line and in line with the retirement of Campus 1 and 2. So, yeah, never know what happens going back negotiating every day, but I get, if something's there, that's why I put it forward. But I wouldn't go out and rebid this, although I think that the price that we're looking at, 14.3 cents, is actually a good price. I made sure for what other renewables are going to be coming in this coming bid because of the high battery prices that are out there. We kept the phase 4 at 17.9 cents, no? Because, and then we've also shifted we've also, instead of 100% shifting about 50% of the energy to try and get that energy cost down and within a reasonable number that we can use as a hedge for the future. So the 14.3 cents is really a good price for the type of technology that
Because
which is
it sounds like you're going to
energy
get 14
shifting.
cents as well for this next round of bidding, I guess, for the larger solar project that's coming out. You got like
I
5
don't-
bidders on that.
No, I don't think we're gonna get 14 cents. I think that was the battery cost and everything have gone up. I think, I don't know, I'll know this next one, but I think it's
You
gonna
open
be
up
up,
that bid.
it's gonna be up to the, I don't know, I would venture to say 16 to 17 cents. It's coming up.
For solar?
Yeah. Solar with
Yeah,
batteries.
right, yeah.
And what,
But
John?
if you take a battery, this is what I understood, the battery is about maybe 500,000 or $700,000 per megawatt hour for the life of the 20 years, no? So that's the amount of investment in the battery, so, big.
I'm more concerned with the procurement process, right? I mean, how, the fact that they didn't perform and we didn't take any action on it, it kind of sends the wrong message for government bidders or prospectors in the future. It's like, it's almost like we're not, why didn't we take action on that? And say, you're not performing, and take the 4.1 million and go out to rebid.
We can take the 4.1 million until, I mean, we can go and fight them in court and do all of that, and they have all these reasons why, but the 4.6 million can come to us December 31st.
Right.
If we don't approve the contract, then that's where it is, December 31st, it will come to us. But if you try to fight it even earlier, for whatever reason, you probably take it to court, you're doing all of this, so that's.
I'm thinking that's
And
gonna
I have
happen
nothing
anyways.
I have nothing to gain before that.
So my concern is that there will be, like, who was the second, who was the second place person in that bid, original bid? Do you recall?
Hanwha, Kepco was the second place.
Kepco was there.
Hanwha came in first.
Hanwha was, Kepco came in second,
Yeah.
right?
And again, they're two different contracts. The scenario that's there today is that
They were able to build.
yeah, one contract does not, is not tied to the other. It's what the procurement was one procurement, but whatever the contract, because there are variabilities in each of the contract, and that's your contract. So Kepco,
Right, so
Kepco is, delivered what they contracted for,
Correct.
and here we made a change to which is still in line with, they had some batteries, so we just had change order on the batteries and come up with,
Its capacity, its batteries,
well, it doesn't,
transmission line.
the two contracts are not tied together.
I'm saying the changes to what we're doing with the,
Yeah, and we think it's within the
it
procurement
doesn't make
process.
us uncomfortable with
I know,
that. I don't know. It always reminds me of the airport.
It's a bad day, so everybody's small from this thing, but
You cannot award something at a low and then come back later and say, I can't do it, and then and raise the prices on us. Right, you should
And
pretty much
again-
go back out and rebid.
I wouldn't even be here today if I didn't have the other reasons to try and, keep the company going straight on the consent decree and all of that. And again, if you don't approve it, then well, I see what I can do, but
We could be in a just even worse position.
But it does provide a benefit, provided that you get it done. And believe me, we have many milestones to ensure, including, I think they already hired the APC, the next one's in material orders, different things like that. If they don't, then we're not gonna tolerate it. I'm just gonna go AP and say, we tried our best, and this is what we have.
The pricing actually is pretty attractive because about half of the contract is the battery. The battery is one of the most attractive features of this contract. So the pricing on the energy is down around 7-8 cents.
Yeah, still kind of, but it's really the battery that brought it up to 14. And if you recall, the 8.5, we had the phase phase 3 bid, that was 11. But that was a really, they had, from what I gather later on, is they had solar panels, they had batteries and everything, and they were ready to get that contract done, but it took so long, all those opportunities got used somewhere else, went away, and they just couldn't afford the 11 cents anymore.
Yeah.
And if you recall, I started always saying maybe around 14 cents, but even that has changed with inflation and other things. So, and then from the experience of phase 4, with the bidders coming in and just, we had a cap in there of 17.9, and boy, were they hollering left and right, so I don't think they were gonna even bid, so then we had to see whether we can, we made some changes to try and get it, so we get bidders, at least see what we have.
For the upcoming bid, or to make up for the 41 if this didn't go through.
We don't even need to increase capacity because the bid is coming up that we're opening up is at least 180 megawatts. It could be 180 to 200 some megawatts in phase 4. So that covers the 41, but again, the completion is 2027 or later, no? I mean, this one comes in right on 2025. It provides us some energy shifting to reduce the peak, and all of that. So it has some benefit to it, and that's what we tried it.
Yeah, we're gonna have the future phase 4 bids put in there for 50% load shift rather than 100%.
That's correct.
Whereas this Hongkong, this is 100%.
No, otherwise like closer to 30% of it minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, I just noticed that there's those 4 conditions that you have in there, that the CCU had in their order about they have to be there in order to do this amendment. One of them you talked about the milestones, which that makes a lot of sense. Also the financing condition that they have to show proof that they can fund it. But the first 2 I thought were kind of surprising because the first one is that there has to be a change to the contract language that will require GPA's consent to any pledges or assignments or transfers of ownership of the agreement, right, of the project. That seems like almost like that's some kind of a basic provision that I would think that would have already been in the agreement. But the fact that it made it into a CCU resolution, to me, that means that there must be some concern there. Is there some concern that you're worried that Hanwha might try to transfer it, to try to get out of this even after it signs?
Yeah, that was a concern that was there. That provides, that's what they were working on early on, trying to sell this project or whatever.
There was no consent
So
requirement.
that's the that's the concern that was raised, and of course, they will have to come to us, no? If that's gonna be the case. I mean, they're already gonna flip it before we do anything, the answer is no, let's take our 4.8 million and, take it from there. But that's why we put those in. Maybe
No, I mean, it's a
time.
good, I would have thought it would have already been in the contract, but, yeah, that's normal. Okay. Then the second one is the business license. That seems a very basic requirement. Of course, they would have to have a business license, but that's actually a condition to this amendment.
Yeah, I think they have that now, and everything. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Therese just said it this evening, over, they've been providing
Because that
that.
would probably be, that's actually a procurement requirement too, just, that would already be, I'm just surprised, I guess, that that would be something that we'd see in a CC resolution, because that's almost, of course, that's like, that should go without saying that they have to have a business license.
The requirement was that there should be, so there are minutes of updated, et cetera.
So when it was usually open back in 2018, they modified the license. This expired in August of this year. Concern, I mean, we're going to approve the credit. Good sense. So my sense provided,
That's good. I mean, I'm not questioning the fact that these are good conditions. I'm just surprised because they're so obvious, that you wouldn't think they would need to be stated.
Well, the CCU really dug into a lot of questions about this contract, and that's why the milestones, all the different things, including, one of it was building permit, or how did they build what they had, so they really dug into a lot of things, and that's why everything's yet on the resolution we wrote. So,
Yeah, just to follow up, so, yeah, what was the reasoning for removing or release this waiver when, all claims? Right, is that waivering them from the performance bond? I mean, this amendment to waive any failures of performance by Holland with the original 2018 agreement, provide that all obligations thereunder are satisfied, and release and waiver of any claims. Are we waiving part of this new agreement? Are they just off the hook?
No, so the release of claims is specific to Hanwha Energy Corporation B. So initially, when the award was made for the two 31 megawatt plants, there were two entities, HEC Guam A and HEC Guam B. And since the 2018 time, there's been a merger, and the merger now has consolidated two entities into one, which is HEC Guam A alone. And so that release provision there is to release all claims against HEC Guam B. But the development security that HEC Guam B put up will be pulled together with HEC Guam A. And so that remains, and that is the development security that we would have now if the PUC approves this contract. Yeah, so that's the development security that they initially put up is not going to be released.
Right, okay.
We'll follow up on what you started to say. Yes, that there's the procurement because this is not the same procurement that's out in 2018. This is an entirely new procurement, and as what you said, it's like rewarding someone who failed to give them a second chance without giving an equal opportunity to do it. And John, I think you knew that they were not able to do the problem. He said that in the statement. And to now try to especially salvage this, I know it's driving forth is the term, I mean, the incentive period. But 5 years to make this happen, after the first year, should have just started all over before COVID. And COVID is another excuse as to why things didn't happen. But this is, back in 2018, it was an apple. Today in 2023, this is an orange.
No, it's not an orange.
This is an orange.
Well, yeah, from others' perspective, it's not an orange. It's still renewable energy with solar. It's reduced from 60 to 41. The difference is that it's still solar with battery. It has some batteries there, so we expanded it to include more batteries so we can shift. But again, the land is still the same, the location is still the same. The only thing is the transmission now by doing this.
The
So
procurement is not the same. Procurement has changed. Didn't have batteries back in 2018.
there is
Now have batteries.
we expanded the batteries.
Yes.
So everything that we were working on is in the transmission line. So we made some changes to the transmission line, which is peculiar to this project. So I think from the procurement prospect, I think we satisfied it. We're not, I mean, but it goes back to, again, what I say, based on a hard rock and whatever, we have to get something done. And I have to come up with alternatives. Here's an alternative, to still save money, it provides other benefits, because again, the 6.5 cents or the cents that was there before is still the same. It's the batteries that brought the cost up in this scenario. And of course, it's offset by the lower transmission cost is offset by the differential in the batteries. But the price is good. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Hanwha, and certainly our contract revisions show that, and certainly the hammer is over their contract, and if it doesn't move forward, then we're done. For any other renewable entities that believe that this is a precedent or anything like that, no, it's not a precedent. If it doesn't get by our recommendation, no matter what they do, it's not going to happen, you know? So this is not a precedent. I think this is a scenario where we try to, again, comply with some other things that we're required to. So it's an alternative that we come up with, and the only alternative that we have at this point.
Besides canceling or terminating the agreement with them, if they don't comply with those requirements, are they still bonded? Once you guys decide that, okay, you're not completing this, they lose that bond?
Yes, we have the 4.6 already.
Okay.
It's in our, we have the money. So if they don't, we just terminate the contract. They can do whatever they want, but we won't buy energy. We won't let them touch the transmission lines. We won't let them do anything. They can do, they have to deliver.
Right.
So John, if they haven't delivered with the first contract, where's the confidence that they would deliver now? I mean, I know GPA has held companies responsible for their contract and their performance, and yet we're changing this to try and salvage a situation, but there was no delivery to the people. And there's no integrity with already what's been proven. And that's my take on this.
The milestone is this coming summer. A lot of things don't happen before then. This contract is done. We take that for. This is not like, again, we're not going down another year or so. So there are very specific conditions that they must meet. We stay on top of it and get it done. Again, that's what we have put together. And
So I'm just curious, you're opening up the bid for the bigger project in next month, right? So you mentioned next month, December, and then you'll know what that kilowatt per hour is that they're offering. Because the concern is if we went out to rebid on this particular one, then it seems like you're also second guessing whether or not you can still get that 14 cents, right? So, and which is a benefit to the ratepayers. So if you can keep the 14 cents, great. But is this project time sensitive that to the point where we can't wait a month to see what the numbers come out from the bid for the bigger project to see if we're in that ballpark? Because right now we're just guessing. They might come in at 13 cents, for the bigger projects, we don't know. And we're kind of establishing a price point at this point for the new bidders.
I think the here is that our new bidder is tied in with a timeline, no? So if we start moving it, then it moves it now from December 2025 to January 2025.
No, I'm just talking about 1 month. If we take
They're
this till the
they're already
following
doing
month
the
to find out the
EPC,
numbers.
they're doing a lot of things already, and so.
Ooh.
John, I'm sorry, what is the other bid that's coming out for solar? What is that? I don't know.
That's a phase 4 bid. Phase 2 was the Hanwha and the
Kepco.
Phase 3 was the one on military lease land. This is our phase 4. Phase 4 is 180 plus megawatts.
Solar.
Solar.
New solar.
New solar.
Which they're opening up next month.
Yeah, which will come on the line around 2027, the end of 2027.
So when you're opening that bid up next month,
Opening up the technical evaluation will be done and the price proposal opening in December. Provided by, and Fred has mentioned this, there's no protest, no? If there's a protest on the technical qualifications, then we can't do anything, we cannot open the price proposal. But again, I'm just being upfront on what is the scenario.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you delay it 1 month, that's a decision of the PUC.
Right.
What I'm saying is that
John, it's
Yeah.
possible if you have 5 or however many bidders you have with 180 megawatts, you might be able to select multiple, possibly all of the ones.
that's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
That's why when this project is dead, we're not gonna go out and rebid this one.
So are the
We're
bids,
just gonna keep on moving with phase 4 and phase 5.
I'm saying not so much to make it dead, it's just we're asked to swallow this big pill. And so what's 1 month? Can we wait a month before we?
John, are the bids in or are they coming in
The
yet?
bids are in and the technical evaluations are being made.
The bids are in.
And after the technical evaluations are done, we inform all the bidders. If one of those bidders don't qualify, and I send them the letter, then they can protest. No? Just like what happened at Chico Piso. 2 bidders didn't qualify or had some issues, and then they protested. Then we resolved one, and one still protesting. So again, there's a 14-day grace period from the time we tell them who qualified. If they don't qualify, fine and dandy, no? Then we're gonna see an opening on 2 weeks after that, but then there's nobody to protest, no? But if there's a 14-day grace period before we open the price and allow that, so
John, you have a ceiling on price, 17.9 cents,
that's correct.
and then battery minimum 50% energy shifting
Correct,
for all bidders.
that's correct.
And size of the farm, 20, 40,
That's
50?
minimum of 5 megawatts,
Minimum 5, no maximum.
I believe 180, I believe.
Oh, they can go right up to the 180.
30 megawatt size, but they can go up to the 180.
Okay.
John, just to make a statement, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. It said, if this did not go through, let's just, if this catalog thing does not get approved, you're not going to rebid it. It's going to rely now on the one.
Phase 4.
That's good.
Yeah.
Which is completion date 3 years from now.
3 years from next summer, we awarded.
And this particular, this hot one is like 2 years out. Right.
This lines up with everything that.
Getting back to my 1 month delay point, is there, I mean, could we see, is there any reason why we couldn't delay it a month? This decision? Just to see what the bids are, so to see if
It
we're
will
actually.
move our timeline, so it'll probably move it 1 month or 2 months. So it won't be December 2025, it'll be January.
Correct. But just so that we have a more solid number that we can base it on.
Provided there's no protest and we open in the
Correct.
December. So if not, then now you're not gonna have a meeting in December, so now you're already 2 months into January.
If there's a protest on phase 4, that would almost forbid us to accept it.
Yeah, that's good. So,
So can we come up with a decision in January meeting?
you can do whatever you decide, Mr. Chairman. If you do that, then
I mean,
then certainly.
We're asking if you'd be happy with that.
I'm always happy with the PUC. Of course, I'm disappointed, but I'm always happy.
There's a lot of wrinkles in this, but it's still potentially attractive.
Right.
Yeah, so it's hard to just.
Yeah, it's got potential, it's just, we gotta solve it.
So, yeah, we'll move the, I don't,
Now, with the new, if they open up the December bids and they come out at 17, 18, 19 cents, and we have to award winners based on that, and we know that these guys are 14 cents, then it makes it attractive to come in and say, okay, let's say they come in at 17 or 16, it's 14, right, per kilowatt. That's a lead advantage. Yeah, it's an advantage. Right.
Well, the other advantage is they're coming to market in 2 years instead of 3.5. If they do. We're still holding some of their money.
okay, Mr. Chairman.
Table this until January.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'll be fine.
Right.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor of tabling until January? Aye, unanimous. Next item, GPA docket 2407. Unanimous.
Just in case it becomes a.
Next docket, GPA docket 2407, petition to approve 40 megawatts temporary power procurement. We have a legal counsel report and a proposed order.
All right, so on a refreshing note, let's stop talking about the future. This is all about the present, okay? Or at least, no more than 5 months out from the present here. So what GPA is asking to do is basically, they want to solicit for a 3-year lease with 2 1-year option extensions or lease to own options for 40 megawatts of temporary generation. And they hope to gain that or obtain this within the next 150 days. The contract review protocol applies to this because they estimate it's going to cost more than $1.5 million. And of course, the justification for soliciting for the temporary power is we've already talked about in great length this evening about the damage to the new power plant, the fact that our existing plants do not provide GPA with enough of its generating capacity. And so when Cabarrus 1 and 2 goes down, in essence, we're doing load shedding. That's the bottom line. Hence, with the 40 megawatts, GPA hopes to mitigate or prevent load shedding whenever Cabarrus 1 and 2 goes down. Now, I've looked at it, and in essence, I found that it's reasonable because this will actually create a bridge and give us at least a minimum amount of reserve generating capacity during the events when Cabarrus 1 and 2 go down. Further, I found this to be prudent. Now, there's a error in paragraph number 9 in both my order, and I hate to say it, but you know, I actually completed both of these, and then the power went out, and when I recovered my document, it looked like all of it was there, but apparently the autosave did not cover the last part. What I meant to say in paragraph 9 was simply that you know, for every outage that GPA incurs, they're losing revenue, you know, hence to try to mitigate the outages, that's a prudent thing to do. And then, of course, it's necessary because despite, you know, bad enough that GPA is losing revenue during every outage, but it's even harder on the people of Guam to experience load shedding for a protracted period of time as we have. And so hence, I find it to be reasonable, prudent, and necessary. I will make the necessary amendment to both paragraph 9 on the order and the my report. I've submitted a proposed order, which would have to be subject to that correction. If the PUC chooses to follow my recommendation, that they approve this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 40 megawatts, location Cabarrus next to the storage tanks. On the mix of systems that we can get it permitted there, 99%. You know, we always have to work with you, EPA and EPA. The process will start a bit. Advertising send it out first week of December, which is actually starting next week. Opening probably by the first part of January at the latest. Before you and the CCU in January, and then about 100-day construction period. So if we move in that type of schedule, we're hitting April or May on the line. Now, provided there's no protest, no? And so I know Senator Parkinson has issued, got a Bill 206 that hopefully will be approved to allow us to go through this process without protest. But if not, then May is when the load starts going up. May, June, July, August, October, up through November, which is right now. And so therefore, we have to have this machine on the line around that time. There are two other alternatives we're working on. One, the Chico PMC that you have authorized. We went out in 2020, 2021, I have to, sorry, it's been a long night. That was protested. 2020 was protested, and we went through the COVID, then came back. We changed the specs to what it is now. We went out in January of this year. We have 4 bidders come in May, ready. We qualified, of course, 2 out of 4. Protests occurred. Here we are today. We resolved 1, still 1 protest. Here we are today before the OPA. with no end in sight when this thing will resolve. So I can't do anything with Chico, PMC. That will bring us 25 megawatts, no? Plus this 40 is 65, plus part of the good news is before the legislature now is Bill 201, which will allow us to go ahead in and fix, despite the PMC, go ahead and do what we have to do to fix Chico diesel plus the other diesels that are there. So if all goes well, in a nutshell, the diesels that we fix plus this 40 megawatt will give us about 40, 65, 75, 80, about 85 megawatts of capacity by May or so of next year. 85 megawatt is the two largest unit. The one down or whatever, now you got reserves. Today we have 268 megawatts, no? Plus the reserve of 85, now that gets you all of load shedding. Okay? So if we don't do this 40 megawatt, whenever we have two base load, one down on maintenance and the other one fails, we're still into load shedding. And that's why I'm saying 6 to 9 months since the very beginning, no? Because it takes time. That's why we're before the legislature trying to get some relief from protests, no? So that I can get the job done, getting this done. Cebu City will be back in about February, maybe, hopefully not delayed, no? The whole plan here now is, the good news is that the load is going down. The good news is we're fixing more of the machines. So the load going down, December, January, February, it's cool. But beginning March, April, May, it goes the other direction. So, I think we could have a good holiday, but next summer, I have to get to work. And they have to pull out the handcuffs for me to get to work. Otherwise, we haven't seen load shedding, because the summer is when you get the highest load. So I appeal to the PUC, please, let me, and as you've done before, Mr. Kim, is here today. He worked the numbers, and we assure you we're not going to increase the rate. We're finding that $11 to $12 million a year, similar to what was happening with Agreco. We're looking at maybe a 2 to 3 year period with some options, but once we get Ukudu on and things are rolling fine, get everything good, then we can let go of this. I don't plan to, we'll have an option to lease to own, but I don't see that as an option, as something we will do. We're gonna have enough capacity as we're fixing all the other machines. No?
Temporary fix.
Okay, I just want to quickly add, when you're talking about protests, you already have some relief. It's in 5 GCA section 51, 24, 25, under the subsection governing the automatic stay after a protest is filed. There's a procedure where the agency being protested can request from the AG and either the OPA, if it's in front of the OPA, or the court, if it's in front of the court, to proceed with the solicitation of the award despite the protest. I highly recommend if you haven't done that yet, you should. Thank you.
We have been doing it, but we can't seem to get the support for making it done.
Yeah, John, I was watching your testimony with Parkinson, Senator Parkinson, and so that bill was just for GEO, was to get the protests out of the way, and then he broke it up, this 40 megawatts. He broke it up into two bills. Did he get that second bill on the floor? Did you guys do that hearing already?
No public hearing, but he has a bill out.
There's a bill out for it.
Yeah, Bill 206. That's for this temporary power.
Right.
So the key here is at least I can get this thing solved. That's passed by January.
Right.
But Anthony is correct, and we've been trying to utilize that. Unfortunately, you need other authorities, no? And we don't have that.
Well, hopefully with the law, if they pass this law, then we're okay, we can expedite it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, and I think Bill 201 is still under consideration. We'll see what it's like tomorrow at the legislature. At least if they get that, I can start moving. And
I'm in
then,
support of the 40 megawatts for they had load shedding. Just a lawsuits question
yeah,
on the old Agreco machines, the 40 megawatts that we had back then. What is the state of, and how many of them are working?
right now we have about 8 to 10 working.
Is there any benefit or potential of turning it over to a private partnership company to maintain it and get it online?
That's the PMC that we've been trying to work for 2 years, the one
Or
that
for the Agreco units?
yeah,
And
the one that you approved here, for PMC, and
there's no PMC?
first strike, protest.
Oh, it's protested?
Then we change the specs so that we can go out. Second strike, protest.
Okay, so that's what the.
That's why we're here today. So that would have,
That's separate from this, and this is a new 40 megawatt.
That's correct.
Contract for this.
And of course, the load is going up already.
Okay.
So where is that one? Are you still going to try to keep that or is that, yes?
Which one?
How'd you get?
That's the one we're trying to get lifted on the protest.
Oh,
It's before the OPA.
you're still trying to proceed with it.
Right, but there's no end in sight yet, we don't know, right? So therefore, Bill 201 before the legislature is to allow me to go ahead in and fix it without a PMC,
Oh,
okay? At least get it, but right now I'm kind of getting what I can go out for bid anymore because, see? But now I can go out and get, and again, subject to, by the way, subject to PUC concurrence, right? So therefore, whatever I do is coming to you again to say yes or no, so that I can, I'll be reasonable, trying to find the parties that could do the job and get it done, no? And then the same thing with the temporary power. So he did introduce 206, but it's no public hearing yet on that. So that will probably hopefully next month or whatever, but if that's ready around January at the latest, then that could help. And hopefully there's no protest with the, again, I'm hoping, and I'd say I'm not hoping anymore, I pray a lot for that.
John, for the temporary power, I guess it'd be something along the lines of previously with Agreco.
Correct, Mr. Chair, yeah. If you're looking at either, anyone can offer combustion turbines or, again, similar to Agreco. I think Agreco will be in here because that's their.
Yeah, that's their business.
Others, it depends, if they have the machine and it's a package deal somewhere, and they can, because they're gonna operate and maintain it, we're not gonna
Right,
do that.
right.
And I'm
So
hoping,
it'd be an area of like 41 megawatt pieces, again, something along those lines.
could be again.
And you have a footprint down in Gabris to receive all this then?
The good thing about Cavers is that the fuel oil tanks are there. And then if we get it, then we're gonna run it because it'll be more efficient than the combustion turbines that we're running today.
Yeah.
That's why you see the 100. So even though it's gonna be 11 to 12 million perhaps, and again, I escalated this based on Agreco numbers before, we're gonna get fuel savings, maybe depending $4 to $6 million a year. So we're, still on the base, but on the fuel should come down.
Yes.
So there's some savings on there.
I think I remember hearing something along the lines, 3 major companies that do that sort of business. They sort of agree with one another not to challenge one another's bids, which the Agreco bid didn't get challenged, did it?
No, I think Agreco is the only one, right? Sorry,
I don't know the names of the
short
companies,
note.
but I know there's a couple other players in the field.
By the way, before Jennifer became ACMO, she was manager of sport, as you probably all know. So she was the one doing all these bids on renewables, Agreco, everything. So that's why she's here today.
Jennifer is a very talented person.
Yes, of course.
You're lucky to have her.
I want to add load shedding, so I'm going to move to approve GPA docket 2407.
Is there a second? Joe, second?
Yeah, subject to corrections.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pedro, you're a no? Okay, 6-1.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple small administrative matters. Just information. You want to talk about our CD at all? No? We just got another one. Lou, why do we have the lease agreement in here tonight? What's that for?
Actually, that's, for your information, actually, it was brought up as to last time to relocate.
Oh,
So, I'm gonna email you tomorrow if I forget. I'm gonna make sure Jen is on our registration. What is, which one? Jennifer Silva. Okay, sure, yeah. Melinda was hired. Okay. I'm not sure. But yeah, just go ahead and it's real easy. J1 at JC1. She might be having a project, so. Okay, because when we were getting to the ALG. If I forget to email you tomorrow. Okay, next week. Yeah. Thank you.
motion to adjourn.
All in favor?